gentlemen, and welcome to Capital A Trading, and welcome to my latest Forex Weekly. So it's just that video again where I'm going to go through the best investment opportunities for the week, show you how I may tackle them, and then show you what may be best to do for you. So if that sounds good, if you take investments, if you trade, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. There's a lot of exciting content coming. In the background is my website that was launched last week, so do check that out. That's www.capitalatrading.co.uk. With that being said, guys, last but not least, a quick shout out to the Absolutely magazine. Thank you for all your support. It's available now in all Waitrose and M&S stores. So with that being said, guys, let's get into the charts and let's take a look at the fundamentals.
Okay, so before I bring you my top 10 for the week, this is how you should always start your week. And here on my website, capitalatrading.co.uk, you can come over to the tools and information. There's an economic calendar there, and it will give you the news that's coming up that week. So again, what I want to talk about is Monday. Not much to really worry about. I'm not really going to be looking to trade with any fundamentals on that day. Tuesday, there's some news in the pound just before the London Open, and there's some retail sales in the dollar. So I'll be looking at that towards the New York Open and London Open on Tuesday, just seeing if there's going to be strength in obviously the pound and the US dollar. The best news of the week starts to kick off on Wednesday. We've got the New Zealand dollar's interest rate decision. So I'm expecting that to have some impact throughout the night. Of course, it happens at 3 a.m. for us UK time. So that'll be worth looking out for. And then, of course, the New Zealand dollar's brother, I call it the brothers, the Australian dollar. Their news on the Thursday is going to be the unemployment rate. That's going to be the one that I'm expecting to see some movement. And again, it'll be during the night for us UK time. So there'll be a few things to look out for in them currency pairs. Of course, we've got some time that we're expecting to see some strength in them as well. So, of course, let's see if we can correlate that with the charts that we're about to go through. So just always be aware of your fundamentals before the week starts. Before we get into the currencies, as always, I'm going to start with the gold pairs and what I believe is going to happen this week. Now, gold USD, we've had that push. If you just come onto the daily time frame, we've had that push from this area. I feel like whatever needed to happen down here with a little bit of liquidity grabbed, I feel like they've done that. They're now going to be really ready to push onto the higher prices. So if I just come down to a 4-hour, what I'm expecting this week is I do want to see price come up here and interact with the 1800 level, but that's not the trade I'm looking to execute with. I do believe price is going to eventually be up here around the 1840 mark. So what I'm looking at is just how it's going to react here for the retest back towards the 1750, 1760 mark, and then the higher push where we've got all that liquidity up here to go and grab. That's going to be the gold USD, very similar on the gold euro. So again, we've had this area where you can clearly see the market makers have shot down there. They've interacted with whatever they needed to interact with down there, and it's now making the push 3 days later, making a push to the upside. So very similar. If I just come down to a 4-hour, I'm looking to see price come up here, interact with the 1520 level, have a pull back towards, say, the 1490, 1500 level, see it struggle there, and then hopefully take a buy push to rise up towards at least the 1550, 1560 mark. So keep an eye on that. That's the gold euro and the gold USD. Next up is the UK 100. So for those of you who follow me, you'll remember this trade that I called here a couple of weeks back. It's risen perfectly to the area that I mentioned it would. And we're now at that weekly picture. So I've been talking about this area for ages, talking about this trade. It's looking like it's going to actually hit it this week. We are so close. So it's just been kind of bubbling underneath. So what I'm looking for this week is what's going to happen in that area? Is it going to have the nice push to the downside that I've been looking for? So with this one, it's literally just watch it. Let's see the 7270 to the 7386. Let's see if price is going to struggle in there, start to show signs that it is going to drop. And I'll be looking to execute my trade from that. This is a really long term. I've been really waiting for this one for a long time. And one thing I've learned about trading is the longer you wait, the better the move. So just keep an eye on this one. It's going to be one of my main focuses for the week. That's the UK 100. First up in the currencies, it's going to be the pound CAD. Now, the first thing I want to do is just show you this daily picture, show you that there's been an obvious key selling area around the 175 mark. As you can see, price has just been interacting with this level, having drops, came again and started showing the signs that the market makers were here. What I mentioned last week was the sell from around the 174,400 to the 174,600. And we just had price interacting with that area, interacting before eventually showing its hand and having the bigger drop. So what I've got from all of this now is that the market makers are somewhere in this area. Now, what I'm suggesting is that we keep an eye out for what is going to be the 174 level now. So again, another key number. This is where the obviously price has shot out of. So somewhere up there has been a marker left. It looks like price is going to climb back towards that level this week. And then hopefully we can get a trading opportunity to continue to the downside. So my advice is to keep an eye out for the 174, 200 level. Let's see if price is going to interact with that area, start to show signs of struggling. So when I say signs of struggling, this would have been signs of struggling, just a bit of weakness in the area where it can't really go higher than it. And then we'll be looking to take a trade around that 174 mark. That's the pound CAD. Keep an eye on that one. Next up is the euro pound. This is my baby. So again, we're in a heavily selling environment. So I'm just going to be looking to take sells. I'm looking to back the pound in this currency pair. And what we've got is just this area here I mentioned last week. It actually looks a lot clearer on the 1 hour. You will see everything that you need to see there, where there's a little gap in the market. Price has come to it, interacted with it, and it's starting to show signs of struggling in this area around the 85, 200 mark. So all I'm going to do this week is just watch how this interacts with this area again. Is it going to come back towards the 85, 100? Tap into these candles and then start to make a bigger push to the downside. There is some small targets, at least back towards the 84, 600. So I'm going to be looking at that for this week, seeing if we can get behind the pound, see if it's going to push down towards this level. So keep an eye on that one, euro pound. Next up is the pound Aussie. This is where I had a lot of my success last week. I still want to mention that this buy area is worth looking at, the 187,500, let's say 187,300, somewhere there. I am expecting to see a longer term buy push. But for now, what I've noticed last week, if I just come down to a 1 hour, here we have the New York session open. It did that normal thing that it does where it looks like they've interacted with this area again around the 188,700, 188,600. So it drops down, price comes and interacts with it, has another massive push to the downside. That was a trade that I actually caught. It then pulled back to the very same area and basically did the same thing again. So what I'm expecting now is that this area, there is going to be more selling from, and I'm just going to see if it does come back towards this key level around, let's say 188,400, 188,600 this time, just slightly lower than where it was before. And then of course, I'm looking to ride it towards that buy entry, 187,500, maybe to the 187 level. It will be depending on how price is reacting at them levels. So just be aware, see if price is going to come back to what I can obviously see as a key selling level, but just be aware that this may be the longer term buy push from down here. That's where I believe price is walking down to. So that's the pound Aussie. Remember, there's news this week as well. So if we can see something that looks like it's going to happen in the night, I'll be taking my position. Hopefully you go to bed and wake up in some profits. So keep an eye on that one. That's the pound Aussie. Next up, I want to mention the pound dollar, what I saw last week. So just looking at this daily picture, yep, we've had price come down to this key buying area, had a great push to the upside. It's now come back to this key selling area. We've got obviously the market gap just above it. And then it starts to what I call walk down. Now, what I mean by that is if I come to the 4 hour, you can just see levels where price has been manipulated. It drops down, it comes back to the level, drops down, comes back to the level, drops down, kind of like walking down a set of stairs. So what I'm looking at now is just seeing where we can get on, what step we can jump on. So just looking at this area up here around the 139, that's going to be my first point of focus. That's where I'm going to be looking to hopefully jump on this step, and then it will be riding down for even lower areas. And I believe the target will be down here. There's another market gap. I do know price is going to have to come down and close that eventually. So we'll be looking to ride it down maybe to the 137, 136, 500, around 200, 250 pip range there. So plenty of pips to catch. And of course, we'll be just looking at that 139 entry. So just be aware of that. Of course, the dollar would have to get strong. A lot of the pound moves that I've mentioned already may not go so well if this is the trade that does. So just keep an eye on that. Be aware, see where the price is going to start to reject. And then hopefully you can take your opportunity. That's the pound USD. And next up is going to be the US dollar Swiss franc. I'm looking to back the Swiss franc here. Now, just looking at the daily picture, we're obviously in a key selling area around this 92, 500 mark. And obviously Friday showed that by having that last little push down. So if I just come to a 4 hour, what you can see happen before was the market was manipulated here. Price shot out of the area, eventually crawled back towards the top of it, and then had another move. So what we've had on Friday is price do that same thing. It shot out of an area. There's obviously been some manipulation up here. What I'm looking for is to just see price retest towards it, towards the 92, let's say to the 92,300 level, somewhere in there, see price start to struggle. And then there's some nice targets to the downside, at least to the 91, maybe to the 9,500 mark. So just keep an eye on that one. That's the USD Swiss franc. Up is going to be the Euro Swiss franc. Again, a very similar picture. I like how the Friday has shown its hand. The daily picture showing us that it's come back to a level where the manipulation would have been. And now there looks like they're ready to go again. So simply with this one, very similar to what we just looked at. I'm looking to see price just retest, pull back up towards, let's say, the 108,200, 108,300, see it interact with this area here, and then have the bigger push to the downside. And again, there's some nice targets down here, at least towards the 107, 100 level. So just keep an eye on that one as well. That's going to be the Euro Swiss franc, very similar to what we just looked at on the USD Swiss franc. Next up is going to be the Euro NZD. Now, remember, we've obviously got that New Zealand dollar interest rate decision. So this is going to be something that I am looking to correlate with the fundamentals. If I just come down to a daily, again, this is that area where it's kind of been in limbo. It's been selling from the 170, 175, mark back down towards the 167 level and just kind of having a little range in here. So what I'm looking at now is if I just come down to the 4 hour is I like this piece of price action here. I like the struggle that I've seen. So I do believe this could be a level around the 167, 800 to the 168 where we're going to get a bigger push to the downside. So basically this week, all I'm looking for is around Tuesday night, obviously Wednesday morning for that interest rate decision. I just want to see price sticking around here, showing signs of struggling, showing signs of not being able to go higher than this point. And then that's where I will get the confidence to hopefully execute the sell. And then hopefully we'll get that New Zealand dollar strength during the night. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the Euro NZD. Okay, next up, I want to talk about the pound yen. Now, for those of you who follow me, you'll know that I've been watching this area for a little while now. So the weekly time frame, it just showed us this picture. Keep an eye on around the 154 to the 155, 154, 800 to the 155 mark. Somewhere around there, we knew the sell was going to happen. And it's kind of doing that walking out of the area. If I just come down and bring the picture a bit clearer, you can see where they've just been dropping price, pulling back, dropping price and pulling back. So the area I want to watch out for this week is the 153. There's obviously been a movement from there on Thursday and Friday. I'll just get down to the 4 hour so you can see it a bit clearer. I'm looking to see price just pull back up towards this level, interact with here, the 153, maybe 152, 800. There's obviously a gap there to give us a little bit more evidence that something's obviously happened up here. And then hopefully we can get the bigger push to the downside again. Talking about targets, I can see price back at this 150 mark to come down here with this market gap. So again, a nice 300 pip range. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the pound yen. Next up, and very similar to what we just looked at, is going to be the USD JPY. Now, I actually mentioned this area last week. I did mention the 110, 500, 110, 700. It went to the 800 and had the drop. So again, it's just showing you an area that's definitely been manipulated by the market makers. At first, it looked like a buy-in area where there was threatens to be pushes. It then rips through it and plays under the underside, like they've flipped over the other side of a mirror, like a line of symmetry. And now they're just going to play on the downside and drop down, coming back again, dropping down, coming back again and dropping down. So I do believe it is going to have bigger sell pushes this week. It's just looking for that retest back towards the 110, 200, 110, 400. Let's see it interact with that level again and then have a bigger push to the downside. So keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the USD JPY. Next up is going to be the NZD USD. Again, trying to correlate this with the fundamentals, hoping for some New Zealand dollar strength this week. If I just come down to a 4 hour, first of all, this daily picture, I just like the way price has been bubbling here, kind of stuck here. I still want to see it make a deeper retracement up into this level here. So that's why I'm looking at that New Zealand dollar strength this week. Maybe the interest rate decision is what it's been holding out for. So again, I've got a nice key number that I can see has been manipulated. There's been something that's happened down here. Price has obviously shot up, come back towards the area and had a reaction. So again, I'm just looking to see it pretty much do the same thing, but with the fundamentals obviously correlating with time. So if this is obviously heading towards this area come Tuesday night, Wednesday, early hours of Wednesday morning, I'll be looking to back the New Zealand dollar, hopefully then wake up in some bigger profits, as I can see price at least making its way towards the 72 level. We've got a nice gap up here. I know price will eventually have to be back up there. So just keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the NZD USD with the fundamental news. Okay, last but not least, I just want to do a quick shout out for the Bitcoin holders, everybody that's been trading that this week. Yes, it's had a nice little fight back. I just want to mention that if it does break through these areas, you can expect it to hopefully make a new high. So what I'm suggesting is if you start to see it struggling around this 54 mark, then just keep an eye on it. Let's see what's going to happen. But if it does stay strong through them areas, then for those of you who are holding Bitcoin, I know a couple of my students are, I'm going to call it now and expect it to break through and hopefully make a new high above the 64 mark. That won't be anytime soon, but that's just what we're going to be looking out for now. So just be aware if you are holding this, if you are looking to make more of a profit next week, just analyze what it's doing at these levels. Is it struggling? Is it showing signs of possibly having a drop down? But long term, I believe we can get to see this higher than at least the 60,000 mark again, with a bonus being going higher than the 64 mark, which would then be a whole new high for Bitcoin. So do keep an eye on that one, guys. And good luck for those of you that are holding on to that.
Okay guys, so that's all from me this week. That was my Forex Weekly. That was my top 10 trades. Keep an eye on a couple, see how it goes for you, see if you can take an investment opportunity. So with that being said, if you do trade, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. There is some exciting content coming within the next month. A quick shout out to my website. Check that out now. That's www.capitalatrading.co.uk. Last but not least, check out this Absolutely magazine. My article is on page 95. You can have a read of that. With that being said, have a great trading week and I'll see you next week.
Bye, have a great time.